Yep, that title is not clickbait. Or at least, not technically, since it did actually happen. Anyway, let me explain. Story time! It was September 2019. I had just gotten my fursuit in June and had worn it for a grand total of 1 convention. When suddenly my agent messages me. There's a big Halloween party scene coming up for a Netflix movie and they're looking for dope costumes. I've got a pretty dope costume. So I'm like, what a score! I had previously known some local furs that had gotten into an episode of The Magicians. As it was my favorite show at the time, I was pretty jelly, even though I didn't have a suit back then. I tried to haggle for the same pay rate that they got on the other show for being in fursuit, but I only got a little bit higher than base pay, so oh well. Side note, perhaps, I live in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and we've got a pretty poppin' film scene here. So I've been background in a lot of movies and TV shows like Riverdale and Sabrina and a bunch of stuff like that. I may tell stories about those other shows some other time, but I've worked so many days on a lot of these things that, they start to blend together after a while. You don't always get a fun story every time you go to work, But if you do want to hear those stories when I decide to make videos on them, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Click it, and then you will know if I decide to make videos on those things. Anyways, it was still exciting. The set was so far away from public transportation that the production even had a shuttle going from the closest transit stop all the way down to this giant mansion by the border. And yes, I do mean the Canada-US border. That's how far away this Halloween party scene was, and that's how far they got me to go and lug my fursuit, just for them to cut it out of the movie. Talk about lame. Getting into fursuit in front of a bunch of my fellow background actors was a nerve-wracking experience, to say the least. It was kind of like outing myself as a furry in front of all these people I'd spent years working with, and kind of not even on my own terms, because it was, for a movie. Most of the people that were in this show were a bunch of late teens, early 20s people, just like me at the time, which we all know, those are the most accepting people. Surprisingly, the question I got the most from them seemed to be, how much was the fursuit? And they seemed aghast that it cost more than $500. This just goes to show you how little normies actually know about the furry fandom. $500 for this? I mean, I'm not wearing the whole suit right now, but you understand. I wish, $500. It's possible they might have been withholding asking the bad question to my face, but, I did deliberately go up to people and ask them. I'm like, is this weird? Do you have any thoughts? Because I'm a social person, and especially since I work with these people, I didn't want them to think that, I was some sex fiend. Furries are not sex fiends. I am not a sex fiend, I am an asexual queen. Play the asexual anthem. There we go. I keep getting distracted. Anyway, while on set, the director kept putting me right in front of the camera. And he was saying stuff like, "Doggy, your suit looks so good in front of the camera. I'm gonna put you right there in the middle of the shot." So I was literally front and center for a lot of scenes. I was so confident that I had made it into the final cut of the movie. I had been sort of hyping it up through online posts and Omegle. I was like, oh yeah, my first it's in a Netflix movie, but I can't tell you what yet. I feel like a sucker. Though it's also maybe worth mentioning, I am in the movie still, just not in fursuit. I'm in the high school scenes, very visibly. I'll put up those clips now, and if you don't want to see my face, just skip forward a little bit. The actual set itself was quite unique. It was this giant mansion that was for sale right on the US-Canada border. It had kind of been sitting unattended for a while, so it had enormous wasp nests all over the outside, so that when they were setting up all the cameras and the lights and the shots, they had to, just knock a few of these wasp nests down. So for the entire 4 days that we were on set for this thing, there were angry wasps just buzzing everywhere. And double-digit people got stung every day. Crew, background actors, no one was safe. These wasps were pissed, and they were taking no prisoners. I was such a scared little that I was just like, nope, 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 nope. Every time a wasp came remotely near me, I was just so scared. I've never been stung by a bee or a wasp before, so perhaps I'm a bit sheltered, but I just was not ready to try it there. I even very unfortunately witnessed one of my fellow background actors gets stung right in front of me. They had provided a bunch of costumes for the people to wear for this Halloween party scene. You know, I was one of the only people that brought mine because mine was cool enough to be there. So one of the ones they had was this like armor chest piece, but it was like a solid piece. I'll put up a photo if I can find something like it. And so this guy was sitting, and the wasp goes like right in between the unbending part of the armor and his skin. So it just kind of goes in that crevice, and then when he moves, the armor plate thing presses against his skin, and the wasp freaks out and just and it was like, oh my god, and he had to get out of there so fast. I don't know if I saw him again. But yeah, that's not really my story to tell, so details may be wrong in that regard. I did see that wasp go in there though. There I was, in fursuit, dancing for four days, just endlessly in a stuffy, overpriced mansion Halloween party set with a bunch of other youths in costumes. God, I'm getting hot just thinking about it. As if I wasn't hot already. I'm in a fursuit and I'm wearing a sweater. Am I a sociopath? They were long film days too. I swear we were on set for like 12 hours, if not more, every single day. Like, it was a long time. I actually ended up replacing the zippers on my bodysuit shortly after this movie had finished filming, because the zipper my maker had chosen to use was kind of not great, and at Furry, the one convention I had worn my suit to at the time, it had popped open. You would remember that from this video here that I briefly mentioned it. And so replacing it was on my list of things to do. And when I was on set for this movie, the costume department would come over and they would zip me up and they would help me when I was, you know, it was ready to film. And they were looking at the zipper and they were like, this is a poor choice. So yeah, at least I took one thing away from that set. Filming a YouTube video, please. Oh, I guess one other thing I took away from the set, but not from the days when I was in fursuit, but when I was in Normie Cassidy school scene, was that I wrote a really dope song on set. It was called The Hike. I performed it a few times. I performed it at TFF, which is up here. And yeah, I'm very proud of it. So again, like I said, at least I took another thing from the set. There's 3 things I took from the set. That my fursuit zipper was bad, I made money, and I wrote a dope song. Those are the 3 big takeaways, because I'm not in the movie in my suit, which is very disappointing. But the big question is, why? Why was I on set for this movie for 4 days just to be cut out? Honestly, I don't know. I think if I was to make my best educated guess, is that the casting director and maybe the higher ups at Netflix and the director themselves, there was some sort of a breakdown in communication. Maybe the casting director thought it was dope that there was a fursuit dancing in this teenage Halloween party scene. Get out of here, motorcycle. Maybe the casting director thought it was dope, but the director might have been like, the editors might have been like, and the Netflix higher-ups might have been like, So, at some point, I got axed. Sad. Let's get F's in the chat. F's in the chat for Cassidy being cut out of the movie. My theatrical debut. Ruined again. I actually tried to email who I think is the director, or at least someone involved with the movie, to see if I could get the footage. I know that's probably super unlikely because, you know, it's Netflix, but I had just gotten my suit a few months earlier, so I was incredibly hyped, and I'm very disappointed. Like, who wouldn't want to see their suit on cameras that expensive? And you know what? Kind of going down the same trajectory as saying that maybe a Netflix executive wasn't a fan of having furries in the movie. Maybe that's also why Ash Coyote has seemingly struggled to get her movie, the furry movie that she did, onto Netflix, because I know she was petitioning and doing all these things for that, but it doesn't seem to have happened. And I think maybe that's a similar reason. I think maybe there's someone at Netflix who is just not a fan of furries, because, you know, they cut me out and they won't give Ash a chance, so maybe there's a through line there. I don't know. It's just a theory. A furry theory. Oh, and I guess another thing that I have from there are these adorable photos I took in the field in front of this giant-ass mansion. And they also are GPS marked to where I was, so there's some proof for you that I was there. And also I have this photo of a random anthropomorphic skeleton that I took by accident while I was putting my phone away. So yes, that's everything in regards to this movie, which I realize I have not said the title of thus far. It's called Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting. Whoops, perhaps I should have said the title earlier. Who cares? So, what did you think? Did you see the movie? Do you think I should have been in it? Do you think I would have stolen the show? Put your comments down below. I have to show the pads again. Below. Do you think that we should demand Netflix release a hashtag furry cut of the movie? I mean, it's worked before on the internet. But yes, also, if you would like me to tell more stories from on set, maybe on Riverdale or Sabrina or any of those shows and movies that I've been on, I'll also comment that. Let me know what you think I should tell stories about, or ask what shows I've been on. I did a day on the Sonic movie. I could talk about that a little bit. It's not much, but I could talk about it. So, that's everything from me. I'm your favorite Civet, Cassidy Civet, the #1 Civet on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow me on Twitter and Spotify and all these things. I've got new music coming out, links in the description. And yeah, I'll see you guys around. I love you very much. And yeah, that's about it. I'm really terrible at outros because I'm still editing these myself. So yeah. Bye. Yeah.